Red Dead Redemption 2, a game centered around the Linde gang, a gang with a philosophy that stands against society and its conformities, with individual characters with their own unique personalities who also stand by this philosophy. And in the end, some of these same characters are the ones that contribute to its downfall and are riddled with death and despair along with traitors and snakes. But did you know that there are actually two Rockstar games that share this similar plot? And no, I'm not talking about the first game, Red Dead Redemption 1, but instead a game that Red Dead 2 would benefit from because of the failure of the other. And what would this other game be that would end up being such a stepping stone for Red Dead 2's production? For starters, this DLC is an installment to an already perfect Grand Theft Auto game, but absolutely sucks compared to any other. It's no surprise that the first thing we see Trevor do in GTA 5 is beat the living shit out of the main character. This is just Rockstar telling us, hey, we think this sucks too, and then we rampage what's left of the biker gang in just 2 missions to prove that their story probably wasn't worth our time. But of course, it's not like they didn't try. Rockstar used to be a company with standards and wouldn't just release a cash grab. The Lost and Damned plot starts pretty simple. Billy Gray, the leader of the Lost Motorcycle Club, has been let out of jail, and Johnny Klebitz, our playable character, had been acting president while Billy was behind bars. In the first mission, Johnny goes and picks him up with the rest of the Lost, and already Billy is causing trouble with their rival gang. As we keep playing, Johnny continues to do work for Billy and the Lost, and continues dealing with the rival gang. At one point, we see Billy manipulating the Lost to kill this rival gang in order to further themselves in bad business. And I have a direct comparison in just a little bit after this. More reckless endeavors pursue, but meanwhile, Billy has a fellow Lost member, Brian, who constantly takes Billy's side on everything, continuing to split the Lost when taking Billy's side against Johnny's.
Man, we got a buyer.
I don't know why Billy got you to handle this, and not me. I mean, what's up with that, huh? I guess you Semites are good at sniffing out a deal. Ain't that right, Johnny?
He didn't get you because Liz Torres and any other 2-bit hustler on the street would take you for the little pussy that you are. Rob you blind.
Despite Billy and Johnny's lifelong relationship, Brian is the one the leader goes with because our main character sees the negligence of the leader's actions. Of course, you can see how these two stories are very similar. Of course, they are not going to be spot on because of the changes that they needed to make after this first game. However, Billy, as the leader, tries to get rid of Johnny by setting up a deal that goes wrong. He hopes that the Triads will kill Johnny in this deal. However, Johnny survives this, and when police arrive, Billy is then caught and sent to jail. In Dutch Vanderland's case, Dutch leaves Arthur to die by the hands of the oil guards rather than saving his life, even when he very clearly had the ability to do so. He wanted Arthur to die to stop him from doubting his awful plans. When Billy goes to jail is where we get this rat aspect from. Billy is no longer loyal to Johnny and then begins spilling the beans to police to satisfy his selfish behavior and not have to do time for the things he's done, making Johnny the scapegoat. However, in Micah's case, it's said by Milton that he is the rat, presumably to save his own skin and to continue to bother Dutch about where all the money is held. Again, in his case, this is to satisfy his selfish need for all the gang's saved up money and to continue surviving. In the end, we still see these antagonist characters killed. However, I find it interesting the difference that they chose to make in regards to what character plays what role, and I believe this is what makes Red Dead's plot better of the two. Dutch is a leader who betrays Arthur, but isn't the one to rat on everyone else when things go awry. Instead, it is the secondary character in the leader's ear who is the rat, and I think that this is the best change. The leader can be an antagonist soon on through the story, but doesn't have to have the label of being a rat to be bad. We already see Billy as a mean-spirited leader who has a serious drug problem and can already be seen as bad. However, we see him as the antagonist once he becomes the rat on the gang. He is very easily someone to dislike, but not in a way that you can dislike Micah. Micah is also mean-spirited, but he is typically seen being this way towards his fellow gang members and actually everyone else that comes in his path. It is almost surprising that he is never exiled for the way that he acts in camp. Dutch sees his gang as family, and even as sons and daughters, but tolerates Micah's actions towards them. The only explanation that I can see is that he's a good earner in Dutch's eyes, and that may be just all he needs. Micah's antagonistic actions will make this game worth playing in the end. American Venom, the mission where you give him what he deserves, is such a powerful and memorable mission. The plot and the atmosphere is remarkable, and the scene is perfect. However, when it comes to killing Billy, it is probably the most anticlimactic ending in any Grand Theft Auto game. First off, I'm not always one for realism, but you cannot tell me that it makes sense that a biker gang can infiltrate a penitentiary without serious resistance. And when you finally reach Billy, who is just standing there for no real reason, like he could have ran away at any time or even just went inside, anywhere with safety where there are police, but no, easily accessible for plot development. And not to mention Johnny has this weird looking stance shooting Billy. You are supposed to be this badass biker and he is just standing there looking like a bitch. And again, another small nitpick, because this game kind of sucks, you burn down the Lost MC Clubhouse, which is supposed to be a serious plot point. But really now you are just left with one of the 2 safe houses on the entire map, all the way at the shittiest point of the map. Speaking of the safe house, you get it when you kill Brian, which is just as anticlimactic, and to mention how negligible of a character Brian is. All we see him do is whine and complain, and then blame Johnny for setting them up with no real evidence other than plot convenience. So for more connections in these 2 stories, let's talk about our main characters. Arthur was pretty much raised by Dutch and Hosea and has lifelong relationships with them. I have more information on Arthur's upbringing on this YouTube short that I made here, which I will link in the description. Now, Johnny Klebitz is also someone who knew Billy since he was very young, actually at 10 years old, and they grew up together. Billy was more of a big brother figure to Johnny than a fatherly one, but my point is how long they have known each other. Both Arthur and Johnny want what's good for their affiliations and commonly will question their leader on if what they are doing is something that needs to be done. My best example for these is when Dutch comes up with excuses to kill O'Driscolls, almost more out of revenge than just entirely gain. For instance, getting the plans to rob the Cornwall train in the mission Old Friends, and also the killing of Bronte in Revenge is a Dish Best Eaten, where the excuse is to rob the Saint Denis Bank. However, it may just be because of the robbery done in the Saint Denis train station. For Red Dead Redemption 2, these were still at least reasonable to a degree for the player to understand, and I think this is why, because after playing The Lost and Damned, a lot of the reasons are very blunt and straightforward.
You gotta stop reading them shitty internet sites, man, and start thinking about what you're doing to us.
The Lost have their own O'Driscolls called the Angels of Death. They have been lifelong enemies and are also inclusive just like the O'Driscolls. The Angels of Death are strictly racist white men, similarly to the O'Driscolls, which are typically of Irish descent. Here we see Billy making an excuse early in game after a fellow biker, Jason Michaels, was killed by their rivals.
These deadbeats are the ones who killed Jason in Broker.
Thought it was a Pole or a Serb or something.
We got some bad information, brother. These are the guys. They killed that kid, and look at you. You're acting like you don't even give a shit.
Oh, the deadbeats have got themselves one shitload of heroin. Pack it up, Johnny.
Wait, I don't understand.
What?
I thought this was payback for Jason, man. What the fuck is this?
2 million in arm candy is as good a payback as I can think of. Come on,
Jesus,
brother.
man, hold your fucking horses, man. Now we're gonna steal their smack? Slow down.
Slow down, huh? Hold up, wait.
Well, if you played as Nico, you would know that Jason was actually killed by him, and even at first, Billy says that it could have been a Russian or a Serb that killed Jason, but soon then turns it into an excuse to go after the Angels Clubhouse by saying that one of the Angels killed him instead. Unknowingly to Johnny, the real reason was to steal and offload a large amount of drugs as profit or by use for Billy. I think the problem with the Lost and Damned story is that it's almost too direct with this. We see this happen over the course of just 2 missions. However, in Red Dead, it'll kind of sprinkle this story in for us to leave a breadcrumb trail to follow, while The Lost and Damned, again, just pushes this right into our face. Similarly, in the end, Arthur and Johnny have close friends in their gang that stick with them and no longer believe in their leader, opting to stick with logical thinking over just blind loyalty. And this is where I believe these stories are both great on their own. Red Dead Redemption is a story about redemption, so Arthur's death is just fate. His close friends will benefit from his generosity until his death and beyond. The Lost and Damned is just as great too in its own way. Johnny leaves this shithole chapter with his buddies in search of a new frontier. So really, both of these games are just cowboy games, one with steel horses and the other with regular horses. I hope you enjoyed this in-depth comparison, and if you'd like to see more long-form videos of mine like this one, to let me know. Goodbye.